everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm so happy to be with you today. Today we're going to make a nice fall card. It's a real simple card that involves a little bit of mixed media and painting and any kind of thing that we can throw together on a piece of watercolor paper, and we will make a gorgeous card. I'm starting out here with an image that I printed off in the computer, just a simple image of an acorn. Trace that on a piece of tissue paper, just a plain old piece of tissue paper, and cut around it. You can see we cut it out and we save that for later. I have a 4 1/4 by 5 inch piece of watercolor paper here, and I'm going to put some of the distressed inks around it. We are using aged mahogany today, along with some fossilized amber. Just lightly putting that on the watercolor paper all around the edges, lightly in the middle, just to give it a nice fall look. We'll start the background with that. We'll spend a lot of time today doing the background and making the piece of watercolor really be the art that's on our card. And it does truly look like a piece of art when you're done. It's a very simple process. There's no mistakes here, no right or wrong. We just go with it, and you'll see here that I made lots of mistakes as I went through, and I wung it, and the card actually came out really nice, and I had a lot of fun making it. So as you can see, I'm lightly pressing here. It looks like I'm pressing hard. I'm not. The camera is sped up a little bit for this session. After I've done the distressed inks, I spray it with water that brings together the colors a little bit more. And then I go ahead and dry it. I do dry in between all of my layers of paint or distressed ink or anything that I do. I spend a lot of time drying with my heat gun, just so that the next segment of stuff that I put on, whatever it is, whether it's paint or watercolors or acrylic paint or watercolor or pencils, it flows together nice. Now we're getting just some paint together. I have a lot of different colors, different brands of paint, Craftsmart paint. I pick up a lot of paint at Target. They have some great colors. We're putting together some nice fall palette here. So we have yellow, reds, golds, a little bit of green. Just putting a blob out on my paint palette, and they will be used to make our trees falling on our tree leaves falling off from our tree, where that the acorn will be sitting underneath. I have a nice fall red there. I believe that's a Craftsmart paint that I just picked up there. Here I am using some bubble wrap. It's packaging bubble wrap. I love this stuff for backgrounds. I'm just putting paint anywhere. There's no rhyme or reason to this. I'm picking up the blobs and putting it down. You can see I'm not real neat with it, but it will give some texture and a nice background, and just a little bit of it will shine through as we finish our mixed media piece here. Again, I'm going to dry this, make sure that the paint's dry in between each layer. I really find that if you take the time to dry it, your paste is much more professional, and it does help you in the long run. So here's a piece of first aid cloth. It's one of those square pieces of bandages that you put on. I love this stuff. Just cut off a piece. I'm using my matte medium to glue it down. Again, just to give a little texture to the background, no rhyme or reason. I just laid this on the card and started putting glue on it. Okay, now we're going to cut off the excess of the gauze. And I'm using my Deco Art Metallic Luster in Gold Rush to paint some metallic glimmer on top of the gauze that I used here. This will add additional depth and texture to the watercolor paper, to the card that we're making. Just kind of work this in. This is I love this product personally. It's a wax-based product with mica powders in it, a gold mica powder mixed within it, and it is soluble with water as well. So I use it for a lot of different pieces, almost in all of my projects. Now that I have that laid into it, I want to start adding in what would be the trunk of a tree, because we're going to make a fall tree with leaves falling off from it. So I'm using some watercolor pencils here, and I will also use my Derwent sketching brush in dark wash. This is a great brush. This brush is water soluble. You'll see if you look at the brush, there's a paint mark on it, a little paintbrush on the side of the brush, or the side of the pencil, and that means when you rub water over it, just similar to your watercolor pencils, it will give you a shadowing effect. I like that shadowing effect. So you'll see here that I'm just putting a trunk in on the edge of the paper, drawing in rough lines of branches coming off from the trunk, and we'll go ahead and put acrylic paint. I'm using some Craftsmart brown acrylic paint to paint in the trunk of the tree there, leaving a lot of brush marks because trees are uneven in their natural form, so you will have you can see where there's different depths of brush marks, and that's what I'm looking for. We'll dry this up, and I'm going to use the Luminaire acrylic paint in Sunset Gold. I'll also bring in Metallic Rust here. Both of those are great fall colors. We'll add that to the palette, and I'm using, this is actually a stenciling brush to stipple, and putting that into the paints. I've got the palette again that I put out before with some greens and reds and yellows and oranges. I added in the Luminaire colors and just dabbing it in and going all around for the tree leaves, so they'll end up looking like tree leaves when we're done. Here's the Liquitex matte medium, matte gel. I'm going to put the acorns that we cut out before on the tissue paper. Just going to, this is like decoupage, I'm going to glue them down, dry it very well, and then we'll start coloring in those acorns again with watercolor pencils. And I do have a watercolor palette, pearlescent watercolor palette, and I will be using my Pitt pens to mark the top of the acorns. As you can see, I spent some time putting many layers of different colors and defining the edges of the acorn. Now I'm just marking out the tops of them, and I'll go back and add a little bit more sparkle there. I'll bring my Luminaire paint in and dab some of that in between the crosshatch marks that I made. And I don't think you can see here on screen how much they really do pop. There's a picture at the end, and I believe one in the beginning of the video that I think shows it much better. But this card is really has a lot of exciting things going on with it. Here I'm distressing the edges of it, running a tool across the edges just to rough them up a little, and using my Momenta ink to give it a little bit of black around the edge as we put it on the card. And you can see that I want the edges to stick up and have that feel of, you know, a design piece on top of the card. Lastly, what I'll do is create a little tag, a sentiment tag here. I'll use my Tim Holtz Distress inks for this, along with the Recollections Whimsy Double Clear Stamp Kit. I'm just going to type out or stamp out the word fall and cut out the tag. Put a little edge on the tag, and then I will distress and color that in. I'm also going to add a little piece of raffia as a tail underneath that I think just brings the card together. Interestingly here, what I'd like to do is, even though I stamped this, I like to take the metallic luster, add a little water to it, and use a fine brush to go over the words. That gives the words just a little bit more dimension, and again brings in the gold that we've tied in with the rest of the piece. I'll go around the edges with my distress tool and the inks and blend those in. I'm spraying water on here with them because the water just pulls together all of the colors that we've added. And then we will put our card together. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, please leave me a comment and let me know. Subscribe to the channel. I will be adding more card and crafting photos, crafting videos as we go along. I've enjoyed making this card. I hope you will enjoy it too. It's very simple, yet I believe very elegant. Thank you and have a great day.